So this is another week, another episode of Breaking Down Security. I'm Brian Brake. Welcome if you are new. So, welcome. Ms. Berlin, Mr. Betcher, as always, are here with it.
Hello.
Hey. So, Ms. Berlin, feeling a little under the weather. She's dry.
I'm a trooper, though. I'm high on stuff and still on podcasts.
Well,
high
medical
on security.
High on security and
That's
NyQuil and other cough medicine and stuff.
Well, you know what doctors say, don't operate podcasts when you're medicated. So
this isn't heavy machinery. It's only a couple pounds.
Wow. So this is light work, is what you're saying. The podcast
This is light work. Yeah.
Wow.
We're not doing any heavy topics that require use of much brain power.
Yeah, we were going to do a heavy topic this week, but we're gonna hold off on that one until Ms. Berlin gets better and back from her vacation in Atlanta, of all places.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Betcher, before we get started on our topics this week, was there been any interesting malware at work that you'd like to talk about?
Well, we got a little bit of Dridex, so I'm gonna take a look at that. Maybe have something for you guys next week.
What's Dridex?
Dridex is a banking Trojan,
right?
So it's real sneaky. There were several iterations of it, and the first one I was privy to at work was one that was basically in memory.
Uh-huh.
So it stayed there. It deleted itself from the disk and just ran as a process. And then when you shut down, it would write itself to disk and write a run key.
Right.
So then when you loaded it back up, when you turn your computer on again, it would load the run key, delete the run key, and delete its file off the disk.
Okay.
So that was pretty cool. And then there was another version after that, which used the atom tables.
Atom tables.
Yeah. So it was some table. Atom is a table that different processes can share things.
Okay. Is this going to be something on the BDIR podcast or what?
We may talk about atom tables in the future, but not anytime soon.
Okay.
But we may get there.
Okay, cool.
It's not a huge topic, but it was something that was exploitable. I don't know. I think they patched it or whatever. But speaking of Atlanta, they did get hit by ransomware.
I saw that.
Yeah, the city. And I don't know if they are actually paying the ransom. We may know by the time this podcast comes out, but as far as I know, they were keeping that under wraps.
I knew there was something important here, but yeah, it says the FBI's I'm getting this from Kanana website. What is it? Oh, CNN. I'm sorry, CNN. Sorry.
Yeah.
Kanana. Yeah. Kanana. Sorry, I need some meds too. So, it said Thursday, Atlanta's mayor urged anyone with personal information in city systems to check financial records as investigation continues. They were fairly owned, I think, straight up and down. So that's crazy.
Yeah. So we don't know any details other than they were, like you said, fairly owned. But as to how they got it, I'm assuming it was phishing emails, but we don't know.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the ransom demand is
speculation at this point.
The ransom demand was $6,800 per unit. I assume that's per system, or $51,000 to unlock the entire system. So they gave them a package deal. That's nice.
Yeah, there you go. Like a site license.
Yeah.
Get 10% off if you pay within the end of the day.
Yeah, no joke, man. Oh, that's awful.
It's the end of the quarter. We have to raise prices tomorrow.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Yeah, I saw the tweet, and our good friends over at Defensive Security, Jerry and Andy, had commented on it. The tweet was like, "We're experiencing outages on various customer-facing applications, including some that customers may use to pay bills or access court-related information. We'll post any updates as we receive them." So accessing court-related information, for me, that sounds like a bit of a privacy issue, even though a lot of the stuff that is at court it can be, gotten through public knowledge, like, deeds and titles and such. But so they're saying to check credit ratings and such like that. But there's definitely a PI issue here, personal information being disclosed, which...
Yeah, you would have to think that the next iteration of ransomware, although it is built for speed, except the ones that are written in Java,
right?
But they work really fast, and within a couple of minutes, your entire system is encrypted. A lot of them do like the first couple of kilobytes in a file just to speed things up, not the entire file itself. Yep. So you can get some information from the file. If it is, the type of file that is sequential or whatnot, but it would seem that the next iteration would be ransomware that not only encrypts the file but also downloads a copy of the file.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that they could potentially get private data out of while at the same time demanding the ransom.
Yeah.
So they could catch both ends. They could sell the data for whatever means, and they can also ransom the files.
So here's an interesting thought. With Equifax being the way it was, with all that personal data out there already, is the landscape, and I'm just, asking for conjecture here or supposition, but do you think that the pulling it down and selling it again would make sense, considering that Equifax pretty much everybody's data was owned? So
it depends on what kind of data you're talking about. For example, if it's an oil company, they may have done millions of dollars in researching where to drill next. You may have some proprietary company information on their next design that they're going to release. Say Intel's latest chip that they've designed, but it's 5 years down the pipe, right?
Right.
So if another government were to get a hold of that design, and they could make their own chips and things like that out of that intellectual property. Now, in the case of Atlanta, there's probably not much there, but what's already been taken from Equifax. I'm not sure. Did the Equifax stuff come up for sale anywhere? I mean, or are they still thinking that it was a government that took it, and that information has not been made public yet?
I haven't actually heard anything more about the where that data is or was.
I thought they were assuming it was another government because the information didn't show up anywhere yet, and it's been a while. You would think it would be online, up for sale somewhere.
Yeah,
it just hasn't been.
Yep. So it's.
I don't think it like watered down the the information yet. So
according as of a day ago on CSO Online, Steve Reagan, I think, wrote this. Nope, Miss Smith. Okay, so he reported on it, I think, when it broke. But they're saying the SamSam ransomware was what hit him up. So maybe that's something you guys could talk about in future BDIR show about what SamSam is, if you know what that is.
Yeah, maybe so. I mean, ransomware is kind of boring for us. It just encrypts all the files and that's it. There's nothing, interesting for us about it other than that. They all have pretty much the same MO.
Yeah. Sorry, I probably should have been sharing this with y'all. So the other thing I read from it was that it wasn't very hard to get infected, because apparently the city had RDP exposed to the public, as well as VPN gateways, FTP servers, and IIS installations. And according to this article from Ms. Smith, most of them had SMB version 1 enabled, making the task of spreading ransomware easier. So I could definitely see something like Eternal Blue or being used, or especially with RDP exposed to the public, it probably...
I think SMB being enabled is considered a super low vulnerability too.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Well, they make a delineation here. It says they have SMB version 1 enabled, so that could have been inside the network. It doesn't actually say SMB 1 was exposed to the internet. If it was, City of Atlanta is just stupid. I apologize.
Even
to the city
then,
of
I mean, if
Atlanta.
you have it open within the entire internal network, it just makes that ransomware spreading like 10 times easier.
Right, and we talked about this in my my 504 mentor class about multi-exploit, viruses and Trojans and botnets where, they get in and they start scanning for other things, and okay, now we see SMB version 1, so we're going to use this exploit that we've been packaged with to laterally move through the environment. So you definitely see those kinds of ransomwares or viruses or Trojans where they it's not the only, they're not a one-trick pony. They have most other weapons in their arsenal they use to gain persistence or lateral movement. So, all right. Well, so let's talk about one that I know Ms. Berlin was very interested in talking about, and that had to deal with Facebook acknowledging keeping records of calls and texts from Android users. This was from slate.com. And you said before the show you actually downloaded the zip file or whatever that they offered to give out?
I downloaded a zip. It was about 2 gig for my data.
2
and
gig?
I've been on, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Well, but and keep in mind they always reduce the quality of your videos and your audio and your pictures and everything when you put them on Facebook.
Okay,
right?
so this is everything on your Facebook.
This is everything.
Okay, so every
they offered
picture.
it up. I mean, how is that? You can just go download your data that Facebook owns?
Yeah, you just go to settings and download all your Facebook data. And it's interesting. It showed a lot of any of the security changes I had made, name changes, password changes, when and where, and what IP address lots of your logins come from.
Right.
All that kind of stuff. So that was kind of interesting. It didn't really have anything that I didn't know it already did have.
Right.
And I'm not huge on. I understand how people can be huge on privacy and everything with themselves. Which, if you're a huge privacy advocate, I wouldn't imagine you would be on Facebook anyways. At least with any of your real data.
Yeah.
And I use it for whatever purposes I find useful. Right. But the thing was that they, when that news article broke, that guy had all of his call history and all that kind of stuff in that Facebook data. And that's a complete, none of my data, I had always used Android, and this was an Android thing that they had. Mm-hmm. Is opt-in feature for people using Messenger or Facebook Lite on an Android device. Right. But like it says, it was opt-in. You agreed. I mean, it says when you read that, it's going to have access to your contacts. It's going to have access to your SMS messages. It asks you if you want to send SMS messages through Messenger.
How many people actually read those things? It's like the EULA. They just click through. Yeah. Hey, I want to be able to use Messenger. Okay, whatever, click.
Right.
So Facebook claims it was an opt-in thing, but Ars Technica refuted their claim that everyone knowingly opted in.
Yeah.
So there's
you said knowingly opt in. I can click something and not know what I just agreed to. That everybody who clicks on a EULA said,
I feel like they were pretty vague about it.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But still, it's it's a social network. What do you expect if you're? I don't know.
Yeah.
So you use it strictly for academic reasons?
Me, no.
I do.
Definitely not.
All the time. Yeah.
So okay.
I just don't care. I just don't really care if the information that I know they have is out there.
Right.
And I'm strict with my permissions on it, and I just hope they don't. I hope they actually, do what they say they're going to do when I set those permissions how I do.
Right.
So you buy, so if you buy an Android phone from a phone company, you cannot uninstall Facebook. It's there. Unless you root the phone, it's not going anywhere. It's always there. So is that what they're talking about? You've opted in because you decided to buy the phone, and maybe companies like Verizon and AT&T are actually getting paid by Facebook to upload all your data? Is that a thing?
I don't know that. That's not in the document.
You have to have a Facebook account.
You have to sign up for Facebook, pretty much. So like what you're saying, the crapware that you get when you buy the new Galaxy phones or whatever, they're going to put some crapware on there that you can't uninstall because it's part of the custom build that they create. When you're flashing, phones for an OEM, they'll add specific APKs or system utilities that get added. Like when I root my phones, I have my Nexus 6 right here. It's not the one I normally use, but I use it for Pokemon, my second Pokemon account. That my daughter uses. I don't play it actually, but anyway. So you can actually, when you're in Twerp or whatever, the custom recovery, you can install whatever APKs you want, and they're automatically installed with it. So you can install SuperSU, which is a Rudy, your SU binary. You can install Magisk, which is a way of circumventing Safety Net, which is the Google check for legitimacy on your ROM, so that you can play things like the aforementioned Pokemon. But OEMs, they can install, Barbie Golf or, Bejeweled or whatever the hell the other little fancy programs are. I don't know. All the ones that I've ever bought, I've never seen Facebook on them. So you actually have to go into like Google Play and download the Facebook app. But I mean,
Facebook says, we introduced this feature for Android users a couple of years ago. Contact importers, what they call them, contact importers, are fairly common among social apps and serves as a way to more easily find the people you want to connect with. So it probably says something like, do you want to more easily connect with people you want to come in contact with?
Right. When you first log in on your on Facebook on your mobile device, it'll ask you, hey, do you want to be able to send SMSs, or do you want to be able to do whatever? It's like what LinkedIn does when
I just did that earlier today with the phone.
Exactly. Yeah. LinkedIn does it too. They're like, oh, we noticed that, you know 85 other people because we looked through your Gmail account. Would you like to connect to these people?
Everything does it. Like fitness apps.
Right.
The
Strava thing.
Untapped.
Right.
And anything almost any of the apps that are on my phone. Have that option of trying to find somebody either in your contacts or
worse, they can leverage the app on your phone to automatically tweet out something.
Oh my God.
Or to automatically, log you in, or you've got Google now that's like, oh, we noticed you went to the library. Tell us more about the library, to kind of, I hate that shit.
Yep.
I just swipe right. I swipe right on my Google. So not in a good way.
Swipe right's the good one.
Yeah. Not in a good way though. Not in a good way.
The left.
So here, the interesting thing that the article says is it's a record of date, time, duration, and recipient. So they don't actually keep the inside part of the calls, but as we've heard numerous times and on other talks or that have been given at conferences, it's the metadata that intelligence agencies look at. I don't need to know what I was saying.
Is all this already anyways.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not exactly sure why Google has decided that, me phoning Mr. Betcher at 8 a.m., talking for 2.5 minutes is a big deal. I mean, maybe it would help, tailor ads. So if I called a tire company for 3 minutes, or I called AAA, Facebook would be like, hey, maybe he needs some tires, so let's serve him up some tire ads or something. That it's all about the information and the knowledge that they're aggregating in that case. So that was just, I just found it quite interesting. So helps you find this. People have expressly agreed to use this feature. Yeah, that is a truth, but they expressly agreed, and it was probably down below where they had to scroll down to look at it. So, or something like that. So yeah, that Cambridge Analytica thing, that just blew up over the last week. It was crazy.
Oh yeah.
So
I should have waited a little bit longer to buy Facebook stock.
Yeah. Well, okay. So that's the other thing. It's like except for the initial drop, it's like it never happened.
No, it's still down.
Is it?
Yeah. It was at 190 something and now it's 160. I bought it at 163.
Oh, I'll be damned. Okay. Well, all right. Because it looked like it rebounded there for a minute.
Google and Twitter also tanked a little bit.
Shit. I don't need Twitter tanking. God dog it.
I mean, not super far, but at the same time,
it doesn't matter. Great. Yeah, it dropped about $1.50, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Once it gets back up to 52, I will have broken even on Twitter. So I bought it during IPO thinking, oh, I'm going to be like $800 a share or something, and it didn't happen. So suck. All right.
It's like 30 something.
So, all right. So let's get off of the negative here. Let's talk about something that's kind of good. TLS 1.3. They blessed it. It's now a thing. We talked about it. I actually saw a talk about it with somebody on the steering committee back in September of last year. Looked very interesting. Some of the things they were adding was they simplified the handshake. So instead of like eight phases for the handshake, they've dropped it down to 3. Let me find the TLS 1.3 handshake. What do you guys think about having better security in this case?
Sounds great.
Sure. I'm good. Secure. I thought you said we weren't going to talk about anything super technical.
Oh, Mr. Hat. This is so difficult. So I've got this timtalbert.de blog post. I'll put it in the show notes as well. Talking about, the full TLS 1.2 handshake. The client says hello to the server. The server sends a hello back with a certificate, a server key exchange, and he says he's done. Then the client says, okay, well, here's the keys that I like and the cipher spec, and I'm done with that. And then the server comes back and goes, okay, these are the ones I can accept. And then they handshake between each other and they win. So with version 3, the client sends a hello, and then the server sends back way more information about what it can and can't do. And then the client... In some cases, and according to this diagram, the client decides what it can support based on what the server can support. And there's a lot fewer ciphers now to be used. So elliptic curve is big. A lot of the RC4 stuff is completely wiped out, if not all of it. One of the biggest changes is the zero RTT handshakes. Which it's also known as session resumption. So if you are constantly connecting to the same server using the same handshakes, you can use something called session resumption, where it will remember you and go, oh yeah, I remember you. We'll let you in. And seems to be quite a bit faster. I mean, the zero RTT stuff, which will make folks like Cloudflare and Akamai, who make millions and millions of TLS connections a day, it'll save them a lot of time and effort and bandwidth. Sorry?
I wonder if it saves on processing power then?
It will, I would imagine. It'll also save them a ton of bandwidth in the long run, because... and it's faster. So instead of a couple 100 milliseconds to set up a handshake, it'll be like, oh, you're back up and running. So they're worried about replay attacks with that because without input from the server is fundamentally very expensive. So their possible servers keep a list of every client random they've received in a given window time. So there's ways of doing it in that document. You can see in the article the code needed to do reliable guarantee or reliable delivery guarantee. So it's very interesting. I'm going to talk to somebody about getting somebody on to talk about 1.3 with us. I got to talk to my friend over at NCC Group. She's the one who she ran the talks over there, so she can get me involved with the folks who gave that talk. So I'm gonna, very cool. Yeah. So I'm actually looking forward to it. I like the simplified cipher suite. So we don't have I don't know if anybody's ever ran OpenSSL and looked at the cipher suites on that, but there's several hundred, and this has knocked it down to less than 20. So less than 20 possible cipher suites that it will support. The problem is it's not always backward compatible, so it may break some browsers, at least older stuff that can't support.
I can't use Netscape anymore.
Yeah, your Netscape 1.0 is pretty much done.
Dang it!
Sorry. Yeah.
Got to get a new Messenger app, huh?
Yeah, Internet Explorer 6 is going to be done. So
speaking of old software, a scan from some girl I know that ran a scan against a company, or her company ran a scan against, found several very, very old file sharing apps.
Oh no!
Like
LimeWire
and BearShare.
BearShare. Oh,
yes,
God.
yes.
And what was okay? So was that lady's company telling the company that ran the scan that were they aware that those were on their network?
They will be soon.
Oh God! I hope they don't listen to this show.
Yahoo Messenger, which is depreciated, right?
I love Yahoo Messenger. AOL Instant Messenger is awesome
iMesh,
too. Okay, so
eDonkey.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
All very, very interesting older apps that I didn't even think were a thing anymore, which got me talking about like, do you ever have to deal with Incredimail?
Yeah. So,
oh my God.
So here's that's crazy. So the problem is, have they been owned? Or are these just stuff that people have installed on boxes? Because this, I don't know. I don't know of any legitimate.
It could be a guest network or something like that. I'm not positive of the ranges or anything.
Does
BearShare still work?
I'd imagine.
Really?
Like any P2P client connecting to any.
It has to have, like, it has to have other peers somewhere.
Sure.
Like, how does it find them?
There's some Windows XP or Windows 98 boxes probably still cranking away with BearShare and
I can't.
their dial-up connections and
I can't
in the
even
hills.
right now. Okay, so but the fact that those have been on that network for as long as they have been lends itself to some hygiene issues with that network. If they can't even detect that those are on there, or maybe they don't want to detect those are on there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things.
That's a lot of wrong right there. Acceptable use policies are not being enforced or at all. Patching, because some of that stuff would have been deprecated a long time ago. That also lends itself to older OSs being on the network. I would imagine XP or 2000, perhaps.
I'm rolling all of that into the talk I'm giving in June.
So you're going to interview your friend who's going to give you that information for a talk that's going to happen in June?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It's like recovering from technological debt.
That's a hell of a lot of debt.
Mm-hmm.
Goodness.
It's common. I mean,
is it?
IT and security debt is extreme. I mean, very common.
It just seems
businesses just like explode with, their business is going well and they're growing their business and they're just like throwing technology at it just to get, their actual bottom line and what they do for their money, like out and working and everything. And then now they're trying to catch up and design it all in the back end.
Yeah.
Right. I've been involved with some companies that, I mean, they threw something together, they made a lot of money, and there is zero, like, security. You mean we lock the doors when we leave, right? Something like that. And yeah, nothing from a IT security standpoint at all, except, I got a password for my desktop.
I mean, like, because healthcare and finance and everything like that, they was all paper. What? I mean, some of them are still all paper,
right?
But 5-10 years ago, it was all, and to grow that large and try and just become this big, like, all on technology is just not very many people actually planned for the future.
True. Very true. All right. Well, Ms. Berlin, I know you're feeling really sickly. So, we're going to we're going to cut it a little short this week. I know we did a somewhat newsy show here, and we're gonna come with something next week.
We apologize.
Mistakes were made.
Promises, though.
I can't say no problem. Well, we do have an interview that we're hoping will happen in a couple days, so we're looking forward to some of that. And Miss Berlin's going to go down to the land of Hotlanta and go on
hang
vacation.
out there for Easter.
Very cool. All right. Well, let's go ahead and call it this week. Miss Berlin, how would people get a hold of you if they wanted to?
Oh, Twitter's the best at InfoSystir, INFOSYSTIR.
Did you read the EULA before you clicked through on your Twitter app?
Of course not.
Oh, you're not part of the solution. Part of the problem. So, all right. So you're on InfoSystir. So that you're on our Slack too. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Slack?
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Betcher, how would people get a hold of you if they wanted to discuss malwares or Sams or Dridexes?
Twitter. I'm at Betcher Pwned.
Is nobody on the Slack these days? Is that what it is?
Well, there's thousands of people. Yeah. If you happen to be on the BreakSec Slack, I'll be there as well. All right.
During a full moon.
Check it out every day.
During a full moon at 3 p.m.
And you know what? I also didn't read the EULA. Those things are designed so that people don't read them.
Right.
If we read every EULA, that's all we'd be doing.
That's true. So our Slack it's very active. We are several hundred active users. We have over 1,100 accounts on there, which I'm fairly proud of. If you are interested in joining a no BS Slack with a lot of good people, a lot of great networking opportunities, a lot of activity on the job board and our career advice panel channels, you can definitely join us. Send a Twitter DM to BreakSec, BRAKESEC. That's the official BreakSec podcast as well, Twitter handle. You can also email bds.podcast@gmail.com. That's our official email, and just say, hey, I'd like to join you. And if you do it on Twitter, make sure you have some followers. You've actually used some tweets or something. I actually had to bot check somebody today because I wanted to make sure they weren't from Russia or something. So, I actually replied back to her and I said, hey, what do you plan on using it for? And I didn't expect to get a reply back, but thankfully she replied back. So I let her on there. So she's like, I just don't use Twitter that often. I was like, all right, that's fine. That's cool. I can expect that. So, yeah. So, BreakSec, of course.
We'll start having them just call you on the phone.
No, how about no?
Put your phone on the podcast?
How about no? Actually, we did have like the first 15, 20 episodes. We did have a phone number on there. It went to one of my UMA. It went to my UMA, which I don't have anymore. But yeah, it was an actual number. I think it was 619-37 something 6000. I forget. But yeah. Actually,
we should spin that up again.
Oh no, we're not. How about we don't? How about we don't? How about we don't? So you can follow me on Twitter at Brian Brake, BRYAN BRAKE, and you can just follow the BreakSec Slack as well. So some things going on. We have a class that is starting on the 2nd of April. Matt Miller, who we've had on the show, talking about mentoring and stuff. You can go find his show. It's in our show notes. I'll put it in there. But he wants to do a class on assembly and reverse engineering for us. And I said, yes, please. And it's a bit more advanced than what we've had previously. So if you've taken the Tyler Hudak class that we did on malware analysis and a little bit of reverse engineering, this is going to go a little bit further because we're actually got a class that I'm trying to plan after this one on UEFI hacking. So if you are interested in doing some firmware hacking, I'm still browbeating the possible instructor into that. So if you're interested in wanting to learn UEFI hacking and you're not strong with assembly or reverse engineering, join this class. It's $250 for 8 weeks of courses. So it's 2 4-week courses. You can sign up. The syllabus is also in the show notes. We'll give you the link to one or the other class. You can do the assembly or the reverse engineering, or you can do both, and it's a package deal. $150 for each class or $250 for both classes. So there you go. Starts on the 2nd of April and will end if you take all the classes on the 21st of May. So it's on Monday nights. It'll be at 8:30 p.m. Central Time, Central U.S. We can make some arrangements if you can't make the class due to time constraints. I know you folks over in the European theater cannot necessarily attend this one. So, if you are interested in doing that, please send me an email or something, and we can make arrangements. So it's going to be really nice. Matt's a really great teacher. He's a teacher at a university, so it's going to be some really good information and really good content. So please, if you're interested, join us. So, Miss Berlin, you said you're going to be in Switzerland. When is that?
I am. I'm going to be speaking at, I can't remember the name of the con. Area 41, which is the DEF CON Switzerland conference.
Okay.
It is mid-June.
Oh, mid-June. Okay, so we've got some time.
That's in Zurich.
Cool.
And then I'll be speaking at ShowMeCon and NolaCon and a couple other ones. Oh, I'm keynoting at Converge Detroit.
Wow.
We're not worthy.
Damn. Big pimping. Wow.
Wow.
Man. All I did was a white paper for O'Reilly this week. So,
Brian, I think we got one up.
Good.
I know we got one up, didn't we? Yeah. No, actually, that was a great paper on. I
was going to ask you how it was
adding additional security to an SDLC. So hopefully, Miss Wright will be able to join us at a future date and talk about the paper. So. That was an excellent discussion, and I read it. It was 35 pages of really good content. So
yeah, that's great.
So, all right. Well, I'm out. We're all out. Thank you to our Patreon supporters, and you can find the podcast on iTunes, Google Play Store, pretty much everywhere podcasts exist. We are on that. So please feel free to go look. Spotify, TuneIn Radio app, all those. So that was it for the Breaking Down Security podcast this week, and we hope you have a great week. Be nice to one another, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Bye. Bye-bye.